we've got to keep on fighting for these changes. You know, they don't come by themselves, and I hope everybody's going to you know, pay attention and do their homework and find out about candidates. These choices are going to mean something, and you got to ask yourselves, what direction do I want this country to go in? Do I want to invest in our people and our middle class and making it stronger, in our infrastructure and our education system and clean energy? Is that one vision, or are we just going to keep on doing the same things that got us?
Welcome back to Hardball. That was President Obama, obviously today in Albuquerque. I'm joined now by Newsweek and soon-to-be Huffington Post reporter and MSNBC political analyst Howard Fineman and political columnist Roger Simon. I want to keep up with you, Roger. Keep up with you, Howard. Let's go to this. Let's go to this whole question. Let's look at these polling data here, because we got great numbers to show you right now. And this is what we call the generic poll, of course, guys, which is how people are going to vote party-wise in the coming election. Here it is, party preference. Republicans lead right now, only 3 points, 46 to 43. They were up 9 points, 49 to 40, as recently as August. So it's down to, these are likely voters, by the way. This is a very good poll for Democrats. 37% people are positive towards Democrats right now, and that's higher than the support for either Republicans or Tea Partiers. What do you make of that, guys? I want to start with Howard on that one. This sense of closure coming in now, where Democrats are getting much better off relatively to where they were.
Well, I don't think it's a sense of closure, Chris. I think it's a sense of opening up and more attention being paid to the Republican candidates. You know, a month or two is still a lifetime in politics, and what happened is that in places like Pennsylvania, where I was yesterday, Pat Toomey, who's the Republican nominee, very strong with the base of the Republican Party, but very conservative on fiscal matters. And the question is whether that's Pennsylvania or not. You know, Rick Santorum was a Republican senator from Pennsylvania, but he's very conservative, but he stressed cultural issues which play in Pennsylvania. Toomey, on the other hand, is a club for growth, small government conservative, cut taxes, cut government, questioning Social Security, questioning social programs and Medicare and Medicaid. That's really not Pennsylvania, which likes its government for the most part. So what Joe Sestak is doing to close the race there is less important than the fact that people are focusing on Toomey. Who is Toomey exactly? What is he saying? What is he saying about Social Security? What is he saying about roads? What's he saying about the things that, frankly, Pennsylvanians kind of like, because it's a big industrial, generally moderate state. I think that's what's happening in place after place. The focus on the Republican conservatives is what's bringing the Democrats back.
Well, Roger, we're going to have Jack Conway from Kentucky on in a minute, and the same thing happening there, the questions about the views towards drug legality on behalf of Rand Paul, supporters with racist backgrounds giving them money. Those questions are getting asked right now in the closing stretch.
Right, and Howard's point is a good one. Every year we say all politics is local until we get to the midterms, and then we say, no, it's national. It's about whether we like the president or not. In fact, it is about a lot of local races, individual candidates, candidates with skeletons in their closet that we never knew about before, or candidates who don't really bond well with people, or candidates who just have positions that people don't like. That's the good part for the Democrats. Individual races where Democrats might do better than Republicans. The bad news is when you look at your poll and you look at the parties that people have good feelings about, and you add the Republicans to the Tea Party, you get 61% of the nation who don't like Democrats. That's still a mountain for the Democrats to climb, and it's a big mountain. And even though they have closed on the generic ballot, they're still trying to convince people, persuade people, that they should be rewarded, that they have done something good for the country and credible, and they ought to get another 2 years or 6 years.
Well, speaking of President Obama, he has to deal with the problem of people out there still spreading the rumor that he's not the religion he says he is. Here he is in Albuquerque today talking about his Christian faith.
Mother Teresa answered it in an article, and I was going to ask you the same because I loved her answer. The first one is, why are you a Christian?
You know, I'm a Christian by choice. You know, my family didn't... you know, frankly, they weren't folks who went to church every week. I mean, my mother was one of the most spiritual people I knew, but she didn't raise me in the church. So I came to my Christian faith later in life, and it was because the precepts of Jesus Christ spoke to me in terms of the kind of life that I would want to live.
Howard, I completely understand that thinking, because I was raised in one religion, Roman Catholicism. I was lucky to have it handed to me, basically, by my parents. But he talks about being raised in an atheist family, basically, for all practical purposes, and trying to find his religious faith. And he did. I just would hate to have this be called a headline, because we've known this about him for a long time, and now he's forced to come out with it. And I think some adversarial media will now say he's saying things that are new to us. There's nothing new here.
Well, I'm sorry, were you...
No, I don't think there is anything new, particularly, Chris. If you've read his autobiography or know anything about him, you basically knew that. But sure, people take pot shots. They'll say, well, this raises more questions than it answers. You know, who were his parents? What did his parents believe or not believe, as a matter of fact? And, you know, when he says that he accepted Christianity, became a Christian, he talks about it in a way that, frankly, is not the way that born-agains talk about it. Now, he doesn't have to talk about it that way. Lord knows he doesn't. But if he's trying to somehow reach or explain himself to the Bible Belt, and I don't know that he is, that's not going to do it, because that's not the way they talk about it. And maybe it doesn't matter.
Okay.
We'll see.
Let me take a pot shot about this. I mean, did he really have to throw his family under the bus to make this point? I mean, you know, his family didn't go to church, but he went to church. To me, this is the worst thing he's done since comparing his grandmother to Reverend Wright to make a point about how everybody's racial. Now, I mean, this disturbs me. How far do we go in politics to get a few extra votes? Yeah. I mean, he's a Christian. Fine, say he's a Christian.
I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that.
I don't agree with that at all. Not at all.
I don't agree with that. I think he was
because I know his background was his mother was kind of a hippie. Our mother wasn't. She was a free thinker. She wasn't a church goer. That's all we say. He wasn't saying his mother wasn't spiritual. He was building. Look, let's go to Bill Clinton, the guy who knew how to handle the Bible Belt. He was liked, according to this new poll we got out tonight, by more than half the voters overall. He's got very good numbers relatively for a Democrat among Republicans, and he cleans up among independents. Overwhelming numbers among independents. Your thoughts, Howard? And then Roger.
I think that's absolutely startling, and what's amazing about it is how it contrasts with Barack Obama's numbers among independents. And Roger was talking about the overall shape of this fall's election, and Roger's absolutely right, and the reason why he's right is because of independents abandoning Barack Obama in droves, and it's sort of like those people have a residual feeling of affection somewhere for the Democratic Party, but right now it's not for Obama, so they've transferred it back to Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton is in a way, Bill Clinton is the leader of it's a really odd thing where Bill Clinton is still the leader of the Democratic Party, and Barack Obama, who got elected as an outsider, is once again an outsider in his own party.
Well said, Roger.
I agree with almost all of that, except one small point I'd like to make. One reason Bill Clinton is doing so well now is that he's not viewed as a political figure anymore. He's viewed as this philanthropist, this man who's raising hundreds of millions of dollars to, you know, cure AIDS, to solve environmental problems, things that are not especially political. Sure, he's going to go out on the trail for Barack Obama, but I think once he does, he might see those figures shift a little.
Well, I hate to disagree with Roger. Boy, we're really disagreeing a lot, but I haven't seen the poll numbers on that. I can't imagine that there's anybody in the United States who doesn't still regard Bill Clinton as a political figure. I mean, Bill Clinton oozes politics out of every pore, and that's what made him infuriating, but what also makes him charming, and also what makes him able to explain in kitchen table language what Barack Obama can't always seem to do. And it's a fascinating thing. It's a mixed blessing for Obama. Here.
We're going to tag team Roger. Roger, I got to ask you this. Roger, why, if he's not seen as a politician, is there such a differential between the vote he's getting in our poll, the NBC Wall Street Journal poll now, the overwhelming support he's getting from independents, and the roughly 20% he's getting from Republicans? That's a political differential. Why is he so popular among independents as opposed to Republicans if he's not seen as a political figure?
Well, independents are more likely to see him as a non-political figure.
Yeah, and they like non-political.
They like non-political figures, and they change their minds more than people who are Republicans always and Democrats always. These are people who are used to viewing people differently. And I got to say, I saw Bill Clinton on David Letterman not long ago, and Bill Clinton said that he had just been in Nevada campaigning for a candidate. Didn't say Harry Reid, didn't say a Democrat. He went out of his way just to be this neutral figure, making a point about solar energy and wind energy. That's why he brought up Nevada, as he made the point. I tell you, this is a guy who has left, to a large degree, politics behind him, even though those of us in the business will always see him that way.
Does that mean you believe that Hillary Clinton doesn't harbor ambitions down the road? Because if she does, then you would think he does.
Oh, I think Hillary Clinton would love to be president of the United States. And I think if you take a look at what Bill Clinton's advice to Barack Obama actually was, a lot of it was payback for the last election. It's not very kind stuff. It's embrace people's anger for you. Just embrace it and admit it, and then go on from there. Well, this is a guy who didn't embrace people's anger till he had to take a blood test, and we produced the little blue dress. I mean, and Barack Obama doesn't see that he did anything wrong and needs to apologize for it. He doesn't see himself as Bill Clinton. He sees himself as a guy who has done the best he could for 2 years, and now he's getting out there trying to tell his story.
I'm with you on that one, Roger. Thank you, Howard. I love this fisticuffs here. Howard Fineman. Howard, I can't wait for you to have a very clear. I'm waiting for your very.
I love Howard.
I'm waiting for you.
Likewise, Roger.
Howard Fineman, soon to be in Huffington Post, but always thinking himself to some extent as a Newsweek guy. Anyway.